Welcome back to Next Level Rides. In today's episode, mistakes were made. This would be mistake number 1, and that one over there is mistake number 2. Right, Taylor? He's mistake number 1. Let's be serious here. This is a secondary mistake.
Better first than last.
For today, we've got an E93 of some sort of model and flavor. It's a 2008 that's been in a bit of a mishap. Windshield smashed, interior is junk. It sat for some time. I'm assuming the side window is gone. And yeah, there's a mess. But there's a motor. 123-ish kilometers. Completely stock, downpipes, everything. Another reason why we ended up getting this, if I didn't show you, is it's a manual transmission. So it ends up having the 3 pedals, the man pedal, or the Gen Z anti-theft assembly. Anyways, we're gonna rip it apart, we're gonna pull it, and it was purchased for the engine, transmission, modules, and so forth. This video isn't gonna be super in-depth, but it's gonna be us stripping down the car and me consistently conflicted and wondering why I allow this one to give me headaches.
I gave you about 35 different outs where it could have came to my garage, but you were like, no. Father and son bonding time, no. That's on you.
He's a liar.
I have the text messages to prove it. Camera lady, put them here.
Don't believe him. Don't believe him. Nothing he says goes.
Hi, liar.
First things first, get rid of the busted hood. 1, 2, 3.
You want to put a tow rope on the E92?
Kinda, actually.
So the idea behind this is super low K manual trans, super low K N54 that has been bone stock its entire life. So something that's kind of just nice to have around. Can't really see the whole motor with all this other crap and everything bent up here. It looks like the coolant tank bashed into it. So I'm really curious to kind of get in and see what it did to the valve cover, but it has been guaranteed to not have been tried to start, so it should be fine. I did look at the oil, and the oil is it's dark, but clean.
I have the solution to accessing the engine. Oh!
Oh! The mint paint!
So being that this is all plastic, we should be wearing safety glasses. So we're gonna use the tried, tested, and true safety squints to cut this off. And could we release the tension from the bolts? Probably. But I have a Sawzall, so we're just gonna use the Sawzall. It's nice to take a break from building and fixing things to breaking things and being destructive. It's like one of those, what do they call it? Those stress rooms where you just get a suit and glasses and smash it. Break room.
We should go do that. That's pretty fun.
We're doing it right now.
We should go do an escape room.
I kind of feel like punching the windshield.
Go for it.
With my face.
I think...
Not actually, though.
I think an escape room would be fun. I think we'd have a blast.
No, a break room. You go there and they give you breakables to smash with a baseball bat.
I understand.
Okay, what do you want to do?
We should go to an escape room. I think it would be fun.
Focus, child.
Have you ever seen this, or is this an E93 thing?
This is a stiffening brace. Actually, that's the factory stiffening brace that you could put onto another car.
Well, it's broken, but I'm just like...
Is it broken?
Yeah, look.
Like actually?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
But I've never seen that. That's neat.
Yeah, that's the factory
For an E93,
Stiffening brace.
I assume.
You can put it on anything.
Well, yeah, but I assume it only came because ours are just like here.
It came on the E93 because it needed to reinforce the chassis.
That makes sense.
So with the
That's
top
neat.
and everything in the back, it was pretty rigid. So the front, they needed a little bit of extra bracing. So they ended up putting this brace into it. But all the cars end up having the hole for it here. And right on the front of the subframe, there's going to be an eyelet for it.
Yeah. Because, yeah, ours have this, but none of this. That's neat. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
It's pretty smart.
Now that we have access to the front of the motor, and this is a big kind of unknown, we're gonna put a 22 mil on the crank pulley and just try and turn it over to see if it's locked up. No, it's okay.
Holy compression,
Something
Batman.
doesn't sound super happy, but
Well, it's going to have no oil in the head.
yeah, it sounds like it's from there. I mean, it seems okay. So with the engine, we wanted to turn it over just by hand to make sure that it wasn't locked up or anything crazy. Just because for it sitting for 2 years, you never know what could have happened. Could have had some water get somewhere, could have been locked up a bit. So fortunately that's good. And I think Taylor wants to try and start it. So as long as we can get everything out of the way and put a filter in it and make sure the valve cover isn't cracked. Actually, I guess you could do that now. Maybe we can try and fire it.
Looks good.
Yeah, I think there was just a...
Yeah, it literally just hit those and broke those. Ow.
Oh. What the f is this?
Boost solenoids.
Oh. Okay, well, you're gonna have wastegate rattle.
Oh no! An N54 with wastegate rattle? Can't
I
happen.
know, right? Okay, let's get the cowl off.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
It's just strange working on something where nothing's being screwed with.
Yeah.
Because I think there's another one. No, it's still in here. Like, the last time I saw one that had this full plastic thing, man, I don't remember. Yeah, this is all just OEM and really dirty, which is weird. It's almost like it was driven on a gravel road or something.
The guy did like woodwork, so a lot of it's sawdust.
Oh, well, you could taste it. Sawdust. So Taylor decided that because this was broken, he was going to snap it off and leave a gaping hole in the valve cover like the ingenious individual he is. Maybe some brake clean, it's never going to stick to this. So what we're trying to do is clean it up and make sure it's sealed, because that would be ideal. By the way, this brake clean, it smells like a weird, shitty perfume you'd smell in certain parts of Europe, but this is Canadian VOC, whatever, volatile compliant. So it actually does nothing. Like, you can see there's a bunch of oil residue here. It does nothing. So if you see it dry and then you wipe it, it just leaves a bunch of residue. So I'm not sure what this is. You may as well just use water if you're in Canada. Those of you on the internet, one thing you have to be mindful about is when a vehicle like this ends up deploying more than one airbag, typically the pyro fuse, or in this case, what do they call it?
I think it's still called the pyro fuse. IBS or something?
The IBS or whatever it is. So essentially when multiple airbags deploy, it's gonna cut power to the engine right away. So in the event that this was leaking fluids, the vehicle would be off. It would have just been off and not running. So the good thing is the likelihood of the engine being fine is pretty high, but out of curiosity's sake, we could always try cranking it. And I mean, if it fires and shuts off, that's kind of whatever. I don't see anything that would have indicated it would have puked all its oil out. So I don't know.
There was a big puddle on the floor where it was sitting in the garage. That's why I'm kind of like...
Oh, maybe you leave it.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it could have, like, with this amount of damage, the subframe could have, I guess, shifted a bit. It could have cracked the oil pan.
So
Or had a
maybe...
hairline.
Well, what
Leave
I
it.
can always do, like, as long as we leave the oil in it, I'll just get an oil analysis.
Yeah, you could do that, or see if there's oil in it, and then just put oil back into it. It's fine. It would have shut off as soon as the airbags went off.
Seeing that the valve cover wasn't hit and nothing but like, I'm feeling a lot better about it.
But that was literally just because it pushed the plastic cover off. Well,
let's leave it, Kit. Just rip these power wires out and start getting stuff off the top, maybe?
Yeah, get it ready to pull. I want to use the Sawzall more.
Well, you could Sawzall these.
They're still connected to the battery. That might not be a good idea. I mean,
we never did disconnect the battery. Maybe we should do that. It's a great day to be alive when the sun's still shining when I close my eyes. Oh no!
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Grab the release thing.
I can't because I'm spun the other way.
Yeah, I also cut it off. Oh, he's going through. How did he spin around in there?
It's kind of comfy. I'm not even gonna lie. That fucking hurts.
I threw the lightest thing and I must have hit him right in the pecker.
Right at the bottom of the nuts.
Taylor, look.
Oh my God.
He gets it. Ah. What is this? Do you have any idea what this is, Taylor, behind the fender? Must be a sensor, like a, looks like a thermal sensor.
Oh, is it that black piece sticking up?
Yeah.
The fender slides into it for alignment.
If it gets hit, maybe it sets one of the airbags off. In case you're wondering, that's the number, okay? And that's what the other side of the sensor looks like. For curiosity's sake. the plan of attack, not that we necessarily have one, but we act like it, and our wonderful editor makes it look like we're competent individuals, is Taylor's gonna loosen everything from underneath, get all the skid plates off that are gonna bounce garbage into our eye sockets. Oh, I could kick you right now. And get the motor out. So because we're taking the diff and the rear, the diff and the rear axles out of this one, we're going to disconnect the drive shaft off the Gibo bushing or the flex disc at the back of the transmission. Typically there's a large, I think it's 12 point or 16 point nut, whatever it is on the input flange of the diff, and we're not gonna fight with that. So we're gonna lower the diff with the drive shaft so we can fight with that on the ground, and then the engine and the transmission together, and not fight with it as much because we've done this a few times now. And yeah, save the motor, and 6-speed will be for another project. Initially we were gonna cut the drive shaft because we didn't need it, but in the event that you mix match to say put a 6-speed into an older automobile, hey, camera lady, what you need to do is you might need to chop it and modify it so that the splines meet. And in Trump's infinite wisdom, it's gonna be huge. I've been to China, place is huge. I can't do it as good as LC Tony guy, like that guy that does the sign thing.
China, China, China.
We're at the point where we're going to be pulling everything. Taylor, did you get the two 12 mils for the shifter linkage, like that where the shifter goes into the cabin?
No, but I disconnected the rod from it.
Then it should be fine. Well, yeah, we'll have to pull it out. If it's not working, then we'll have to disconnect the 212s, which is probably easier if you're under there. Transmission brace, and we're just going to drop the whole thing with the subframe because it's all mangled, and if we're going to have the engine sit on the floor, you may as well have it in essentially its own subframe cradle that's probably noodled like alphabet soup. And in the meantime, huge investment on this engine leveler. So as soon as Taylor loosens off the transmission mounts, we're going to see exactly how it's going to want to tip. And all you really do is you just adjust it so that it's level, and 6 subframe bolts, and really, other than the steering shaft, we should be able to drop it out. There might be a couple of things like the one power steering line to this, but I think if we do that, we're good.
Did it get in the bucket?
I mean, there's a first for everything. Oh no!
Had to say something.
It was in the bucket.
Had to say something.
Now it's on the floor. Okay, Taylor, here's your motor.
Use your trans.
My trans. Where's
Mission, sorry.
First glance, it really doesn't look that bad. The transmission's a bit dirty, but for the most part, if you look, this is all just sand and sawdust. The subframe, I'm sure, is tweaked, because as soon as we went to go drop it, it was having a bit of an issue with these pins. But other than that, a few kind of downsides. Steering rack has a bad seal on the one side. Initially, I was gonna try and cut these boots, and as soon as we found that they were both leaking a bit, it might need rebuilding. We figured keeping it on the subframe was the ideal move, for the simple fact you can lower it right on the subframe and the oil pan isn't gonna be touching anything, and it sits flat. And in the meantime, the transmission's just gonna stay on there for now. Surprisingly, it's not leaking, but the one real big downside is that the rear main is leaking pretty bad. So before we go to throw it into a project yet to be disclosed, we're gonna change the rear main and valve cover and stuff like that, because it has a little pokey poke. All in all, it's really not that bad. Some people may not want to go through all the effort to buy a scrap car, let alone rip it apart. I mean, there are some dangers that come with that. I don't know if it showed earlier, but the whole arm and the broken wheel came swinging at my face, so that was close.
Holy
So it swung at my face. It was relatively cheap for 120,000 kilometer motor, transmission, and so forth. So it did make sense, and for Taylor and I, were able to bond and take it apart as a father and son duo. Ugh. It will work out in the end, and we get to put it into another project, and it gets to live another life. It was fun just not caring too much about how it comes out. Obviously, we were careful for the majority of what we were going to keep, but it's kind of fun to just tear apart a car once in a while and not care too much that you're not going to put a scratch into the fender or something like that. But surprisingly, it actually worked out okay. And you can see how much that one strut tower was crushed in. So that was holding the motor for dear life, not giving it to us. But guess what? We won in the end. Well, that's all for today. As always, feel free to like and subscribe. See you guys on the next one. What do you got to say, Taylor?
whole lot of nothing. I'm excited for this to go in a project.
I was expecting the bye, have a good time.
Bye, have a good time!
There it is.
Oh no, the fan's cracked.
Is that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess let's return this.
Scratch and dent.
Yeah! How do you come off?
Vandalism.
How do you think these come off? Have you ever seen these?
This I've seen.
These?
I have no idea. Motherfucker.